So with any luck, some of you who are already here might be able to hear me. But it's my first time. I'm loving all the chat. Yay! Hi! That is so encouraging to see the chat. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, this is lovely. Oh, this is such fun. Well, here I am on a very rainy day in my lovely warm studio, and I'm so excited to be with you all. The brilliant self-isolation choir. What a fantastic idea that is. Just amazing. I really wish my mum still enjoyed singing because she would absolutely love this. Just that feeling of connection that we all love through being in choirs that we haven't been able to do for the last 15 months. So this is just the perfect solution. Absolutely amazing. Look at all these people. I love the fact that you're from all over the place. So I need to remember to say good morning, good afternoon and good evening, because who knows when you're going to be actually watching this. Could be any time of the day. So it's a good afternoon if you're in the UK watching live right now. And I hope that you're not wet and cold, having just whizzed in from somewhere, because it is a very rainy day here today. Oh, this is amazing. This is so clever. I bet. Yeah, everyone's saying, could I be louder? Yes, I can. Is that any better? Am I louder now? Let's see if that's made a difference. Could it be louder? I've just turned up the volume on my mic a little bit. And hopefully now that means you can hear me. I could always move a little bit closer as well. I've got my on air. No, that side. This is weird. Can you see that? My red on air sign in the vocal booth behind me. That was a present from my lovely brother, who is a sound engineer. So to make me feel like I'm actually on air, he gave me that ahead of today. So that's so nice of him. Now let's see if I'm any better. Oh, I'm better. Oh, good. Oh, I like capital letters and exclamation marks. This is brilliant. Oh, good. I'm so glad that's a good sound. This is amazing. I've even put an orchid. No, that's that side. I've managed to grow an orchid. So I've put that there to cover up the boring looking plugs on the wall. I'm getting used to being a mirror, not in a mirror image, a sort of reverse image of what I'm expecting. Great. Happy people. It's a great sign, isn't it? I don't know where he bought it, but I always feel when it's on, I just think, yes, I'm in performance mode. So as somebody who's used to being on an actual stage in front of actual people, it's a really nice reminder to me that although I can't see you or hear you, you are there. Exactly. Oh, this is amazing. Right, I'm not going to start doing anything too related to the actual session until 3, so this is just a nice chat time to see all your lovely messages. Thank you for the orchids. I know I'm not a natural with plants, so I had thought that orchid had died. It was looking very like an extra from a Star Wars movie at one point, and I thought, oh no, I've killed it. And someone said, no, just hold out, keep giving it occasional bits of water and you'll get flowers again. And that's what happened. Isn't that just a metaphor for this year? Just hold out, get through it. There will be flowers again. Oh dear. Which is brilliant. Actual people, I know. I can't stop smiling either. It's actually really nice. I do feel like I'm in a room with a choir. instead of sitting in my studio with nobody but myself. It's extraordinary. What an amazing idea this is. Oh, you're only successful with orchids. That is clever. Oh, everybody, you are so welcome to this course. I have been looking forward to this for months. I can't tell you. This is my favourite song in the whole world. I first heard it in my 20s and it blew me away. Not just the melodies, but the harmonies and the lyrics. I write lyrics myself, so I always listen to the lyrics, and it's funny because Alexander, my wonderful husband who wrote this arrangement, he doesn't listen to the lyrics. He always listens to the bass line first and then the piano, because that's the angle he's coming from, and then the arrangement, and then maybe the structure and the key relationships. But I'm there going, wow, that's an amazing lyric. And he says, was it? Oh, I missed it. What do you think of the bass line? Well, I haven't really listened to the bass line yet. So yeah, the lyrics, I just think it's so pertinent that the Self-Isolation Choir should be singing this song at this time. How do you keep the music playing? I mean, the film that it was written for in the 1980s was a film called Best Friends, starring Goldie Hawn and Burt Reynolds, I think. I haven't seen the film. I'm going to see the film this week. But yes, it was written for that film, and I saw the little clip of the song from that film. But actually, since then, it's just taken on a life of its own, because it can mean anything you want it to mean. I think in the context of the film, it's how do you maintain a long friendship? How do you not run out of new things to say? But I think it can also mean how do you sustain a long-term relationship? But now, Self-Isolation Choir singing how do you keep the music playing? Well, you've answered your own question, really. How do you keep the music playing in the middle of a pandemic when we're still not allowed to sing? Well, you do it like this. You get clever Ben England to set you up with the most enormous amount of technology. I mean, I'm not a stranger to technology. I am in studios most of the time, but I'm always on the other side of the mic and someone else has done all the setting up. So for me to be on this side of things with all the sound equipment surrounding me is quite extraordinary, but I am feeling positive. Ben has given me a couple of fantastic tutorial sessions. I think he's probably the world's most, the world's most patient man. I mean, honestly, I was just feeling like I wasn't getting it, but he didn't show any signs of impatience. He was just, okay, so what we need to do now is check that level, plug that in. And now I'm here. I'm going to show you my big red chair. So this was my present to myself about 6 years ago. It's a gorgeous red leather kind of high chair that such as a sort of double bass player might use, but I really like it for singing in the studio. Some songs, you want to be standing up for, but other songs, if it's a nice mellow ballad, it's quite nice to sit. Obviously sitting well, because we're singers, so sitting up, not sitting down. But I love my chair, and I'm also a huge fan of Graham Norton, and he has the big red chair in his show, but for a completely different reason. How are we doing? I'm whiffling and waffling. It's raining. Good padding. Weightlifter as well. It actually looks heavier than it is. It's not very heavy. So, what else can I tell you about before we begin? I'm wearing dangly earrings because I feel really... I've got this huge pair of cans on my head, headphones. So I thought it might be fun to wear dangly turquoise earrings. Good posture in that chair. Yes, exactly. You all need to get the red chair. So has everybody seen Graham Norton when he does the big red chair and he sits, you volunteer as a member of the public to go and sit in the chair and tell your funny story, and Graham Norton can eject you at any point. Sometimes some people get as far as saying, hello, my name is Joanna, and he pulls the lever and they tip backwards, and it's so funny. But some people manage to get through their whole story intact, and then they get to stand and walk out of the red chair, which is major glory. I'm not sure if I was ever in Graham Norton's big red chair what story I would tell. Maybe I'll tell this story. Maybe I'll talk about the fact that I've got a big red chair and I sit on it to conduct the self-isolation choir. I'm going to think about that one. Oh, so many happy people. I love these happy emojis. I'm looking forward to this too. I really am. So yes, I was talking about the song, wasn't I? And the lyrics. So Michel Legrand, he is a wonderful songwriter. He only died a few years ago. We went to see him in his 80th birthday concert, which was amazing, because you would think that a guy in his 80s might just want to kind of sit and enjoy it. But oh no, he's there, he's conducting the band, he's sitting at the piano, he's playing, he's singing. He was just an amazing man. The first time I saw him, I went to see him at Ronnie Scott's jazz club in Soho in London, and it was only, I think he must have been about 78 maybe at that point, and he sat down to play a song, and he said, he leant into the microphone and he said, I wrote this one about 1683. Which I just thought was so funny. So he just doesn't take himself seriously, and then he just proceeded to play the most extraordinary piano solo, dexterity like you wouldn't believe for, you know, a guy in his late 70s, every single note in place, and he just played everything with such passion and feeling. And anyway, I ran up to him afterwards and just basically declared my undying love for his music, so he probably found that a bit a bit amusing, but I don't care. I mean, there was no way I was not going to say hello to that man. He's a hero, and all of his songs are beautiful. And one of the things he loves to do in his songs is to have sequence. And what I mean by that is you have a little section of melody, and then you have the next bit of the melody is the bit you've just heard, but in down a tone or down a third, or maybe up a tone or up a third. And he's done it with this one. Da 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 dee da 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 da. And then da 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 da. That's the same as da 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 da. Then again. Da 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 da. So you've had this da 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 da, and then finally da 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 da. So you're only 4 phrases into the song, but already you feel like you know the song. That's such a skill. And the reason you feel you know the song is because you've heard the same little melodic figure 4 times already. It's just brilliant. He's a genius. He's a genius. Anyway, gosh, it's nearly 3 o'clock. I need to stop waffling and actually start doing things. Loving. Oh, you're all just so lovely. This is really, really, really nice. I've got my phone in front of me so that I know Ben, Mr. England, is going to message me at any moment if anything's not right. I've got that right there just in case. Oh, I can't wait to play you the whole track. Perhaps you've already heard it. But anyway, we're going to listen to it together today at least a couple of times. And I'm going to tell you more about the song, a little bit about me, and how I've ended up sitting here in front of you in my big red chair with my orchid. I need to point to with this hand. Yes! And my online sign with this hand. I'm getting there. Orchid. Online. Right, how are we doing? Ah, it's 3 o'clock. Well Welcome. It is so fantastic to be here with you, the Self-Isolation Choir. My name is Joanna Forbes Lestrange. So Forbes is the name that I was born with. Lestrange is the name that I gained 25 years ago when I married Alexander Lestrange. And I decided I better just use both names, because when you come from a family like mine, and you'll understand why in a minute, you need to be able to distinguish yourself from all of the other Forbes musicians and all of the other Lestrange musicians. And now my son is also a published composer. So yes, I thought, you know what, I'm going to have Forbes and Lestrange, and then it's clear that that one is me. It's so nice to be part of this incredible project, the Self-Isolation Choir. I just think it's genius to be able to provide a platform for thousands of singers across the world to maintain that sense of togetherness through music, despite the fact that we're in the middle of this extraordinary pandemic, is just absolutely fantastic. So all credit to Mark Strawn and to Ben England for setting this up. And when I got the call to ask if I would like to lead you in one of your courses, I was absolutely delighted. And of course the answer was yes. It obviously would be very, very nice to be with you in person. But this is definitely the next best thing. And I'm starting to wonder if it is actually the best thing, because we all get to be in our homes, safe, and not driving around the countryside or on public transport. And yet still maintain that sense of togetherness. And I had a really lovely evening yesterday watching lots of the YouTube videos that you've been making of all of the other pieces that you've been recording, and oh my goodness, it's just fantastic. The sound, the blend, the togetherness, despite the fact that you're all just on your mobile phones in your own houses, you just wouldn't know. You hear that, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. But you hear those pieces and you think, why hasn't anybody done this before? This is just absolutely fantastic. I guess actually maybe Eric Whittaker did something similar with his virtual choirs. But hey, you know, Self-Isolation Choir do it better. Don't say I said that. So I am going to tell you a little bit about why I'm so delighted to be working on this particular song with you. We're going to create something really magical with this song. I'll play the track to you in a minute in case you haven't heard it yet. But this song by the French composer Michel Legrand is, I think, one of his finest. All of his songs are fantastic. If you get a moment, go on Spotify or wherever you like to get your music and just have a listen to some of his songs. They are stunning. One of my absolute favourite films, because he wrote a lot for films, is Les Parapluies de Cherbourg, the Umbrellas of Cherbourg. And he wrote, it's a 60s film, and he wrote the soundtrack for that. And it's a little bit like a musical. The whole film is sung. So you don't get any talking in it at all. So it's just stunning. And some of the songs in that, one of them is, if it takes forever, I will wait for you. For 1,000 moments, I will wait for you. Oh my gosh, till you're back beside me, till I'm holding you. And forevermore, I'll wait for you. Oh, I mean, that song! The irony of the context of that song is that she doesn't wait for him. He goes off to war. And when he comes back, she's married to someone else and has children with someone else. It's just heartbreaking. So anyway, that's my film recommendation. But I get sidetracked very easily. So back to the song. How do you keep the music playing? This one is from the film Best Friends, 1985, I think, mid-80s anyway. Goldie Hawn, but Reynolds, I think, was the male lead. Anyway, he wrote this song for that. But since then, it's been recorded by a number of people. And it's just one of those songs that can mean different things to different people. I remember Ed Sheeran saying that one of the things he loves most about being a songwriter is that he writes the song because it means something specific to him. And then he releases the song into the world and finds that it has all sorts of different connotations for other people. And he says he loves it if one of his songs becomes someone's song that they have at their wedding because it's their song. And they hear something in the lyric that is something completely different from what he intended. So I think now I would encourage all of you to listen to these lyrics and really imagine what they mean to you. For Alexander and for me, so Alexander, my husband of the last 25 years, who wrote this arrangement for me, it's always been for us about how you keep a long-term relationship going, even when you're miles apart, which we were for 7 years. So a year after we got married, I joined the Swingle Singers. So I was basically touring for the next 7 years. And so for us, it became an anthem for, how do you keep the how do you not run out of new things to say? That kind of idea. But of course now, as I was just saying earlier, for the self-isolation choir, how do you keep the music playing in the middle of a pandemic when we're not allowed to meet and sing together in choirs? This is how you do it, isn't it? I mean, Mark Strawn and Ben England, I think you've answered the question of the song right there and then. So I think before I talk more, I'm going to play the track. So obviously when we have our sectional rehearsals, starting tomorrow with the sopranos, yay! We'll be listening to the individual lines with the other lines reduced in volume. But for now, let's just sit back, take a deep breath and listen to the whole track with all 7 voices and with Helen Charleston singing the solo line. And then after I've played it to you, I'll do some more talking. Here we go. Fingers crossed. 1, 2, 3, 4.
for you, it's now or never. The more I love, the more that I'm afraid that in your eyes I may not see forever. If we can be the best of lovers and be the best of friends, if we can try with every day to make it better as it grows, with any luck then I suppose the music never ends. Music never ends.
Oh, it gets me every time. That last chord is what's known in the trade as a warm pillow of sound. It's one of those sideways chords. Ah. Oh, absolutely divine. So how did I end up here in front of you in my big red chair? Well, I grew up in Surrey, in towards the southeast of England. I was born in Wales. My mum is Irish and my dad is Scottish. So I think of myself as a true Brit in every sense of the world. Definitely Celtic, blue eyes, skin that won't tan ever, that just goes bright red instead. I feel at home when I'm in Ireland. I feel at home when I'm in Wales. I feel at home when I'm in Scotland. But I've lived most of my life in England. And I was born into a family of musicians, but different from the kind of musician that I am. So my father is a composer. He's called Sebastian Forbes. He's just turned 80. He still sprints up escalators, 2 at a time. He has so much energy. He conducts orchestras and choirs and he plays the organ and he never sits down. And he's all about the classical music. So my upbringing was very classical orientated. I played the cello to grade 8 and I played the piano to grade 8. It was very serious. Study your pieces. I didn't really sing. I sang in my local parish church choir with my sister, but I didn't really do much more singing than that when I was little. And then on my dad's side of the family, so his father was a viola player, Watson Forbes, he was called, and he played in the Aeolian String Quartet and he travelled around the world giving concerts as a viola player. And my dad's brother was an opera singer, an operatic tenor, and he lives up in Edinburgh. So as you can tell, a lot of Forbes music that really only started 2 generations above me. My grandfather, the viola playing grandfather, his parents weren't musical at all. They ran a jeweller's shop in St Andrews. So it was really out of the blue, his talent. And viola players always loved to hear his name because not only did he play, but he wrote loads of arrangements for viola because he felt that there was a paucity of music for the viola. So that's that side of the family. And then my mum's side of the family, very, very different. I mean, my parents split up when I was 2, so I don't think of them as an entity at all. It even feels weird to say my parents. So that's my dad. My mum, they were all into the classical music, but also the jazz. And my mum, also the pop. My mum was the one who got me into the Swingle Singers. So when I was little, she used to make me mixtapes, remember those? Of her favourite music and send them to me. and I would listen to them, and there would always be some Swingles tracks on there. And there was one in particular that was recorded by the lead soprano of the 1960s Swingles group when they were still based in Paris. And she was called, wait for it, Christiane Legrand. So the Legrand surname is coming up a lot today. She was the sister of Michel Legrand, who wrote the song we're going to be singing together. So I've always felt this intrinsic connection with the Swingles. Anyway, she sang this Bach piece. And I just thought, wow, that voice, those clean harmonies, that sense of using your voice as an instrument rather than as a singer, per se. So that was my mum's side. And then I did studied my cello, studied my piano, and then I got a place at Oxford University to read music, and everything changed because I auditioned for a choir called Schola Cantorum, and suddenly, poor old cello and piano, I was not interested anymore. I was hooked on choral singing. I sang with that choir for the next 3 years. We made loads of recordings, and that's when I fell in love with Poulenc and Messiaen and all the romantics in particular and the 20th century composers, but also we did a lot of Tallis and Tye and Shepard, and it was like the scales had fallen from my eyes, and suddenly it was all about the choral music, and I couldn't get enough of it, and I knew that was what I wanted to do. And as soon as I left Oxford and I had my music degree, as soon as that was all done, I thought, I want to be a singer. I want to be a full-time singer. I didn't have the confidence. I was very shy and very lacking in self-confidence and very overwhelmed by the enormity of this Forbes name. You know, both my dad and my grandfather were in Grove Dictionary of Musicians. And I thought, gosh, that's quite a lot to live up to. So instead, I did a year of teacher training. And I went and taught secondary school music for 3 years. And you know, I'm so glad I did that now. Because although in my heart of hearts I knew I really wanted to be a full-time freelance musician, that teaching training, all those years of running choirs and stuff, you know, that's partly why I'm here now, I think. So life's funny like that. I think it was meant to be. Anyway, I left that job after 3 years. And I went up to Edinburgh Festival because Alexander, my husband, he was my boyfriend then, was doing a show at the Edinburgh Festival. And I heard that the Swingles were going to be doing a radio broadcast and that you could go and sit in the audience. Now, I didn't know they were still going. This must have been 1997, summer 97. And I had all the recordings from when I was little, but I didn't know that they were still going. I went along, sat in the audience, turned to my boyfriend and said, that's what I want to do. That is what I want to do. So, in the olden days, pre-internet, pre-all of that, I started subscribing to a magazine called Singer. And in the back of the magazine, each issue, they would have adverts. And lo and behold, the first issue, the September 97 issue, I still have a copy of it, they were advertising for a soprano in the Swingles. And to cut a long story short, I went for the audition and I got that job, and everything changed from there. So that was 25 years ago. And I just feel like I'm the luckiest woman in the world sometimes. It was just a dream come true. We travelled around for 7 years. I got to meet my hero, Christiane Legrand. She came to hear us singing in Paris one time. I got to work with Ward Swingle, the founder of the group, and he became a dear, dear friend. And it was just a really extraordinary time. And I joined as a soprano, but 6 months later they asked me to take over the running of the group. So I ended up directing them, which I guess is another reason why I ended up going into the sort of directing choirs side of things after I left. Oh, and then what happened? I joined Tenebrae, the amazing Tenebrae. And so many of you will have sung with Nigel Short on some of the courses for self-isolation choir that he's been doing. So while I was still in the Swingles, he set up Tenebrae in 2001. and I was in his original lineup, and I only really stopped singing with them last year in order to focus on my writing and my solo career. But oh my goodness, 20 years, can you imagine how lucky I am? 20 years of singing in that choir, just the most sublime music, and I listen to those recordings still and I just feel so grateful for those experiences, and also for the stuff that I've learnt from watching other choir leaders like Nigel and other people that I've sung for over the years, picking up tips from each other. I love doing that. And then now I do a lot of contemporary music, and by which I mean I sing a lot of composers like Steve Reich. I don't know if you've heard of Steve Reich, American guy, and people who like to use the voice as an instrument. So in a piece by Steve Reich, I might be going for about 10 minutes, with lots of other people around me going and you're basically using your voice as part of an instrumental texture. And I love this. We did this in the Swingles as well. We would sing pieces that were written for the piano or for the violin or for the organ. And so, of course, we didn't have any words because there weren't any. So we would just do do's and da's and do's and bums and n's and hums and ahs and oohs and somehow between us between the 8 voices, create this instrumental texture. And that's exactly what you are going to do. So when we start working on this piece tomorrow, on this arrangement, this beautiful arrangement, which Alexander wrote for my very final concert with the Swingles back in 2004. Can you imagine how emotional that was? Standing on stage, I was singing the solo line, my 7 colleagues are singing the lines that you're going to be singing. How do you keep the music playing? How do you make it last? To all my friends and family who'd flown out to Rome to hear the concert. Oh, how I got through that without crying, I do not know. But anyway, he wrote that arrangement for that moment. And what we're going to have such fun doing is feeling in your voice and in your vocal production the difference between doon, doo doo doon, doo doon, doo doo doon, doo doon, which is very instrumental. You're not putting a lot of expression in. You're going for maximum accuracy, maximum tuning, a still, untroubled sound that blends with everybody else, and then Helen is the focus. The difference between that and oh, the way I feel for you, it's now or never, where you get to sing the words. That's the thing. That is the key to this arrangement, is finding those different sounds, and that when we sing those words, rather differently from how we might sing words by Mozart or words in Handel's Messiah, we're going to sing the words like jazz singers do. And by that I mean shaping the words in the same way as you would speak them. So if I was to give you a little example, if I was to sing a little bit of that, how do you keep the and oh, let me just sing it to you 2 ways. So if I sing it to you in a more traditional classical way, I would sing this. And oh, the way I feel for you, it's now or never. The more I love, the more that I'm afraid. And I don't know if you can hear, but there's a lot of vowel. The beautiful vowels that we sing on, so that we get legato lines. And oh, the way I feel for you, it's now. And quite cultured vowels. You, it's now or never. Now, compare that with and oh, the way I feel for you, it's now or never. Can you hear the difference? It's partly to do with volume, that you don't need to project the voice as much when you've got a microphone right in front of you like this. But more importantly, it's to do with singing the words as if you really mean them. And that means consonants. Consonants become just as important as vowels. Dare I say it, more important. So we would never, as a jazz singer, you would never hear a jazz singer going, the way I feel for you, it's now or never. It's the way I feel for you, it's now or never. You've got to hear it. And sometimes we make the vowels quite short. You know, we would go, the way I feel for you, quite quickly onto the L. Feel for you is different from feel for you. It's such fun. And I love this notion of singing classical pieces like classical singers and singing jazz pieces like jazz singers and singing pop songs like pop singers. This is what I love. And I guess this is why I've ended up being a film singer. So I sing on a lot of film soundtracks because you turn up in the studio. I did it just yesterday. You put your headphones on, they press go, the red light goes on, they go plonk music in front of you and you go, right, how's this go? And you do it. And you never know what you're going to get. Now, I know that sounds terrifying, but if you like reading music and you like singing in different styles, it's like the dream job. So I really, really enjoy that. But it's that thing of which style are we in today? Yesterday it was Disney. You know, they wanted us to sing in a Disney style. Sometimes it's a horror film and they want us to sing like, ah, like, ah, and do lots of screaming. And I just love that. So there we are. How did I get involved with this particular piece? Well, because of Christian Legrand, I became really interested in Michel Legrand and in his music. And when Christian died in 2011, I decided that Alexandra and I should record an album in her memory of songs by her brother. And we called it Songs of Lestrange and Legrand. So we had some of our songs and some of his songs. And the album is New Things to Say. Check it out on Spotify or whatever. I can send you a CD. If you want me to send you a CD, I've got lots here. So just send me a message. But it's 8 songs by Michel Legrand and 8 songs by us. And the songs that we chose were our favourites of his. And we loved this one so much, How Do You Keep the Music Playing, that we actually put it on twice. So we did it at the beginning of the album with just vocals, multi-layered vocals, and Alexander playing double bass to play the bass line. So it's sort of 7-part me and then his on the bass line. And if you're a YouTube aficionado, which I'm sure you all are, thanks to Self-Isolation Choir, go on to my YouTube channel, which I think is just my name, Joanna Forbes Lestrange, and you can hear and you can see a video of us singing How Do You Keep the Music Playing with Alexandra on bass, and me, a friend of mine, made this video with sort of lots of versions of my face all singing at the same time. It's really fun. And then the last track on that album is the same song, but in the version with Alexander playing the piano and me singing as a soloist and him singing when it comes to the duet later on in the song. So I think that's the sign of real love for a song, isn't it? If you put it twice on your album. So have a listen to that and have a watch of that video if you'd like to. And then, because of that recording, I got a call from Stephen Layton, who conducts the Trinity College Choir in Cambridge. He said, I've been listening to your CD. I love this arrangement. Can we get hold of it? And so that we can do it with my choir, the Trinity Choir. Now, Trinity Choir, as you know, they normally sing even songs and they normally sing a whole host of traditional choral repertoire. So it was quite a departure for them to sing this particular arrangement. Anyway, of course, we said yes, so we sent the arrangement. And then Stephen said, would we like to come and run one of our You Can Sing But Can You Swing workshops, which we've been doing for about 20 years now, where we go in to work with mainly classical choirs, a mixture of amateur and professional choirs, youth choirs, adult choirs, huge choral societies, tiny a cappella groups, you name it. We come and do that workshop. And the basic premise is what do you need to change in order to sound convincing in the different styles? So I went and worked with Trinity Choir for 3 hours one afternoon in Cambridge. It was a beautiful sunny day, I remember, and coached them on this piece, as I'm going to be with you from tomorrow. And Helen Charleston sang the solo, and I coached her on that, and she hadn't done very much non-classical singing, so it was really interesting for her to change things. Like, for example, she was singing "How do you not run out of new things to say," which is exactly what you would do in classical music, isn't it? And I was saying, "How do you not run out of new things to say?" And that was really new for her, but she's just so quick and brilliant, and she just took it on board. But it's things like that that make all the difference. So Stephen said, "What are you doing for the rest of the week?" after I'd done this workshop. And I said, this and that. And he said, "Can you cancel it? Can you stay for the whole week?" And it was the most glorious week. So he had all of the choir sitting in a big, big circle in Trinity Chapel. Beautiful acoustic, beautiful building. He was in the middle with me sitting next to him. And together we led the choir as they made these recordings. So while you're on YouTube, check out, if you haven't done so already, Trinity College Cambridge's version of How Do You Keep the Music Playing as well, because it is breathtaking. And I think that was the version that Mark Strawn was sent and gave him the idea of doing it with you, with the Self-Isolation Choir. And then more recently, we've done another version of it with a lovely London-based group called the Nonsuch Singers, which is conducted by Tom Bullard, who is a chap that I was in the Swingles with. Isn't it a small world? Do you know who I was working for the day I heard I'd got the Swingles job? Ralph Allwood. I mean, it's just extraordinary. I was up in Eton doing something, I can't remember what, recording music for television production music or something like that, when the message came through. I was with Ralph. And when I was in the Swingles, I sang with Ben Parry. And Ben's now the person who directs me in London Voices, and he's my 15-year-old's godfather. And, you know, we're kind of, in the end, we're all connected, aren't we, through music? I love that. And now I've got this lovely connection with you. It's just exactly how music's meant to be. So we did that recording with Trinity, with L'Estrangers in the Night, which is the duo that I have with Alexander, and with the Nonsuch Singers. And then, yes, we started to do a lot of performances, including this song, How Do You Keep the Music Playing? And more people would ask us to sing it at the end of our workshop. So we would do a "You Can Sing But Can You Swing" workshop. And then at the end they would say, "Oh, can you sing How Do You Keep the Music Playing?" Because we love that one. So it's become a really, really special personal song for us as well, which is another reason I'm really thrilled that you're going to be doing it. And I'm hoping, although I hope I'm not giving anything away here, but at some point during our 4 weeks together, the next 4 weeks, I'm going to see if Alexander himself can come and run one of the sessions, because he is fantastic with choirs. And since he's here anyway, and this is our studio, it would be a shame not to share him with you. So I'll let you know when that happens, but you're in for a massive treat, I can tell you. So, how is the course going to work? Well, we have 4 lots of Monday to Friday. Each Monday is going to be a full session like this, where everybody is part of it, and we will work with Helen's vocal and without Helen's vocal, so we really get inside those textures. With the full rehearsal, it's going to be such fun to hear how the different voice parts create the arpeggios, create the piano configuration. I love this. We used to do this in the Swingles. We used to do a version of Clair de Lune, by Debussy. And your own part on its own, when you were learning it, was just so bizarre. I'd be sitting there going, doo-doo, 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 doo-doo. And then somebody else, next door in the hotel would be going, doo-doo, doo-doo, doo-doo. And then we would all come together and we would go, and you just had this job of tucking in your little doo-doo exactly in the right place. Well, that is what it's going to be like with these full choir rehearsals. So it's really nice then to hear how your little doo-doo or your dum or your doon is going to fit with everybody else's to create this seamless texture. And talking of seamless, because there are so many of us, there are many hundreds of people who are going to be recording this. Yours is going to be the first recording with so many people on each voice part. It's going to be luscious, I can tell you. But because of that, we've got this added luxury of being able to use staggered breathing throughout all the instrumental sections. So you might notice when we hear the track again in a minute that you can't really hear any breathing at any point. Well, that's because I don't want there to be any breathing. There will be breathing, but you're not going to breathe at the same time as each other. You're going to take it in turns to breathe, and I'm going to teach you a technique for how to breathe so silently that nobody hears that you're taking a breath, and how to come back in again so brilliantly that nobody knows you'd even gone. And that is the magic of staggered breathing, so that the overall effect you create is instrumental. You know, violins and pianos don't need to breathe. Singers do. So that's how we create that illusion, and it's going to be absolutely magical. So that's Mondays. And then Tuesdays, I'm going to be working first with the first sopranos and then with the second sopranos. Wednesdays will be alto day. So we'll have alto 1s and alto 2s. Thursdays will be tenor day. That's nice and easy to remember because Thursday begins with T and so does tenor. I like that. And then there's only one tenor line. So that's just what we do on a Thursday. And then Fridays is going to be bass day. So the bass 1s and then the bass 2. And we're going to do that for the next 4 weeks as we really get to know this beautiful arrangement. And then we finish on July the 16th. And then the very, very next day, I've got 30 people, max, coming round to celebrate my mine and my husband's 25th silver wedding anniversary. So it's an exciting couple of months, actually. Very exciting couple of months. And if times were different, I would happily invite you all over as well to have fun in my garden. We're very lucky. We've got a big garden and we've got a river at the end. And wouldn't that be fun? If we could all just be together and listen to the beautiful track that you're going to record. One day. So I am going to play the track again. And then I might just have a little read of some of the messages that I know have been pinging through, just to see if there's anything you want to ask me in particular at this stage. Have I said everything I want to say? I think so. But if I remember anything while we're listening to the music, or if you think of anything you want to ask me, then ask away. Right, here comes the track again. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. My dad is a real grammar pedant, and I am now because of him, and he finds it very stressful in restaurants when waitresses and waiters say enjoy, because he says actually it's a transitive verb, so therefore you need to have it after it. There we are. Top tip from Professor Sebastian Forbes. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
How do you keep the music playing? Since we know we're always changing, how can it be the same? And tell me how year after year you're sure your heart won't fall apart each time you hear his name. And oh, the way I feel for you, it's now or never.
That's Alexander singing the harmony line.
I love the more that I'm afraid that in your eyes I may not see forever. If we can be the best of lovers and be the best of friends, if we could try with every day to make it better as it grows, with any luck then I suppose the music never ends.
And this is where you get your chance to sing the words.
And oh, the way I feel for you, it's now or never. The more I love, the more that I'm afraid that in your eyes I may not see forever. If we can be the best of lovers and be the best of friends, if we can try with every day to make it better as it grows, with any luck then I suppose the music never
Oh, interrupted cadence. I love them. Warm pillow of sound. Oh, I'm loving all your comments. They're so brilliant. I know what you mean about Kleenex. Oh, but ultimately it's a positive message, isn't it? The music never ends. I love that. I love that. And how about the effect of changing from an ooh to an ah? I mean, just when you're going doon, doo doo doo, and then you go ooh ah. I mean, it's like the sun's come out, and all you've done is change from an ooh to an ah. I mean, film music, I spend my life singing ooh and ah, and you'd think by now people would have got sick of it. But no, there's just something magical about hearing a choir in 7 parts singing ooh and then going to ah. I mean, it's the tingle factor. I just can't wait to hear the Self-Isolation Choir's version of this song. It's just going to be extraordinary. It's going to be absolutely extraordinary. And I just feel so grateful to be the person who gets to teach it to you. And one of the other things that I love that I haven't mentioned is close harmony. You know, harmony, I mean, you know, you've got your basic harmony, you've got your basic chords. But if you put a G next to an F, next to a D, next to a B flat, and you get these scrunches, oh, I mean, it's just, there's nothing like it. And to be inside close harmony, so that your line is only a semitone away from someone else's line, and together you create that tension, that moment of suspense. It's literally called suspension. And then it resolves. And those moments occur all the way through the song. And they're partly what Michel Legrand wrote. And they're partly what Alexander has put in as his arrangement of it. But all of it just adds to the pathos and to the sort of feeling, the strong feeling throughout the song. These little harmonic moments, the whole thing just comes together as a whole and just leaves you going, whew, you know? Isn't that just amazing? 3 minutes, that's all it is. 3 minutes of so much emotion just packed in. You know, I like to think that if some of those old composers were still around now, that they would just love this song. Who knows? Right, I must actually just talk about things you want me to talk about. Is there anything I haven't said? So many things I want to tell you. And I can't think whether I should save it. So the first people I'm going to see tomorrow are the sopranos. And you might be thinking a little bit about the things I was saying about the difference between instrumental and singing and singing. So you know they have to go doon, 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 doon. We're going to be working a lot with all of the voice parts on trying to minimise the amount of vibrato in the sound. It's something that I am really interested in, and I know that Mark Strawn and I had a chat about it when he interviewed me about this course, and he was saying, do people find it difficult to take out the vibrato? And my answer to that was, the more trained a singer is, particularly singers who are trained towards the operatic end of the singing spectrum, the more difficult it is, but it's still not impossible. There are plenty of wonderful opera singers, Anne-Sophie von Otter being one, who can sing with no vibrato and just croon into a microphone. She did this amazing album with Elvis Costello, where she just... Oh, you wouldn't realise it was the same singer. Honestly, absolutely amazing. Check it out. Elvis Costello and Anne-Sophie von Otter. Can't remember what the album's called, but anyway, that's the only one they made together, so it'll come up. So it is possible. But the great news is that for people who haven't trained as opera singers, it's even more possible. And it's just a total relaxation of the voice as you sing. So, you know, sometimes when we're trying to support the sound, to get our sound to the back of a theatre or the back of a church, we might go do and use our diaphragm and use our breath control and really project and throw our voice to the back of the room. Well, this is the opposite of that. This is as if you're singing to a baby, as if you're singing a little nighttime lullaby to a baby, and you've got your microphone quite close and you're just going do, do, do. So soft. And the effect of that will be that when it's amalgamated, when you've got, 500 people all doing that very, very gently, it will be like the intimacy of someone singing in your room, someone singing in your ear, but they're not. They're miles away in their own houses singing into a phone. But to create that intimacy, that's what we're looking for. We want people to have tingle factor goose pimples, or goosebumps, as we say now, because we've all gone so American. Goosebumps. That's what we're aiming for, and we can do that. And occasionally we'll put a little bit of breath in the voice as well. Another big difference, really, between more traditional classical singing, where you would be trying to create a very clear tone. You know, you wouldn't sing the Hallelujah chorus with breath, would you? You wouldn't go, Hallelujah. You went, Hallelujah. But with this, you might go, and oh, the way I feel for you, it's now or never. And you would want to put some breath. It kind of humanises the sound. It makes you feel as if the words are being sung directly to you, as if they're pertinent directly for you. That's that kind of intimacy that jazz singers and pop singers, because of this microphone that they've got, they can do, and we'll be able to do that. But as a choir, it's just the best of everything that you're going to have here. That intimacy, but with that also that lush sound that hundreds of people all singing together can make. Oh, absolutely amazing. Right. Oh yes, that's another thing I meant to say to you. So, I don't know if you do the social media thing. I know some people loathe it, and I know a lot of people say that cutting it out of your life is very good for the health, and I can well imagine that. But if, like us, you are doing social media, then I would love it if you could follow us or like us or whatever it is on Facebook, because we have, like you have, the Self-Isolation Choir, which I have been following. We have one called Lestrange Music. So Lestrange, L''E. It's a Norfolk name. Originally a French came over in the Norman Conquest. There are lots of Lestranges in Norfolk. There we are. So Lestrange Music, because we'll be posting on there a lot about the thrill of doing this arrangement with you. And we'll also be putting up there lots of other things that we're getting up to at the moment. We've got all sorts of fingers and all sorts of pies, lots of different plates spinning, lots of different metaphors happening all at the same time. And we would love to share that with you. So that's the Facebook thing. And then Twitter, we do Twitter. I think that's Forbes Lestrange, if you want to follow us on that. And we do Instagram. Yes, we do Instagram as well. And that is Lestranges in the Night, which is our joint Instagram. Or you can follow us individually, Joe Forbes Lestrange or Alexander Lestrange. It would just be really nice to feel in touch with you if you'd like to do that. If you wouldn't like to do that, then that's fine too. And yeah, just kind of give us some feedback about what you're feeling on the course, how you're enjoying the course, anything about the song, anything about the arrangement. It'd just be so nice to feel connected in that way. Would you like to hear the song again, or shall I just keep talking to you? Let me see what the response to that is. Lestrange Music. Oh, thank you. Oh yes, thank you for putting that on the chat. So maybe we could put, oh, you're so organised and brilliant. Yeah, so if you are interested in watching the YouTube video that I mentioned earlier about how do you keep the music playing, then maybe the best thing is to put the link on the chat or something like that. That's a really good idea. Fantastic. Oh, and there's another course in the pipeline as well, but I won't mention it yet because I don't think we've entirely confirmed it, but I'm very excited about it. And I want to say thank you to Ben England for telling me to put googly eyes on my computer to keep reminding me to look at you there. That's also been very helpful. And kind of amusing to have a little pair of eyes staring at me from the computer. Oh, some of you are talking about my dad. So you know him. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, so as I say, he's just turned 80 and showing no signs of slowing down anytime soon. In fact, 2 weeks ago was his 80th birthday concert in London, and I sang one of his pieces. Wow, his music is different from my music. So he was very much of the 1960s school of thought where the old way had been done and the new way was in. So it's very atonal in places. It's very fast often and very, very difficult and a huge challenge. But kind of ultimately satisfying to sing and to listen to, but maybe not at first hearing. It's the kind of music you need to give it a few hearings before you start to get inside it. His music has been described as intellectually tough, and he loves that. He was really pleased with that. So that gives you an idea of the kind of background that I come from. Oh, bless you. Googly eyes are the win. Thank you. It's a very funny thing, talking and not allowing anybody else to talk. I just feel like I'm just talking about myself. What else should I tell you about? Oh, I should tell you a little thing to finish with. Because yesterday was Father's Day, and I always send 2 cards on Father's Day. So I send one to my father, who I've talked about already, but I also send one to my foster father, who brought me up from the age of 4 to 11. So I had a foster father for those 7 years of my life, and he's the reason I'm composing. It sounds weird, doesn't it? Because my dad's the composer, but he was never that interested in anybody else being a composer. But my foster father was ordained about 20 years ago, and he asked me to write a piece for the choir to sing at his ordination, and I said, but I don't write music. And he said, well, you should. And I thought, oh, okay. So I wrote a piece, and the Royal School of Church Music published it, and I haven't stopped since. And every time I speak to him, as I did yesterday because it was Father's Day, he just says, right, what are you writing? What are you writing? What are you in the middle of writing? So I'm not allowed to get away with not writing, so I end up writing. So I've just done a setting of the Chorister's Prayer. Do you know the one? The one about, bless, O Lord, we who minister in thy temple, grant that what we sing with our lips we may believe in our hearts, and what we believe in our hearts we may show forth in our lives. It's just such a lovely prayer. So yeah, I was doing that yesterday. And today is summer solstice. And before I go, I'd like to tell you about my lovely group that I direct. So as well as directing you lovely lot, I have my own ladies choir based in Cambridge called Aquila, because the emblem of St John's College in Cambridge, which is where the choir is based, is the eagle. And the Latin for eagle is Aquila or Aquila, or however you want to say it. So we thought we would adopt that as our name. And I like it because it sounds like a cappella, and it sounds like like singing, and we just thought it was a great name. So Aquila. So if you like female close harmony, you can find us on Facebook as well. Aquila Female A Cappella, it's called. And we've just today released a song for summer solstice called Long Day. And it's a new song that I've written in collaboration with one of the Aquila members, who's actually a poet. She's a published poet, and she wanted to start getting into songwriting. So she wrote these beautiful words about, after a long day, we all deserve a place to stay where we're safe and warm and where we can be free. And together we wrote the song, and yeah, we recorded it in isolation, like you're doing. I just got 12 singers in my group, so it's a much smaller group, but see what you think of it. I'd be really interested to know what you make of Long Day. It's one of those songs where every part fits on top of every other part at any section in the piece, a little bit like a round. And so it's quite sort of mesmerising. And so the video we used was a sun setting over the water in the Outer Hebrides. And it's peaceful and calming. So if you feel like a peaceful, calming cup of tea after this, then you could check out Long Day as recorded by Aquila. Oh, everybody's saying such nice things. That is lovely. Oh, it's just going to be so nice. Yes. So, tomorrow, sopranos, Wednesdays, altos, Thursdays, tenors, Fridays, basses. Oh, that's a good way to remember that as well. Sea bass. Because Friday is fish day. Is that a bit tenuous? Friday is bass day, sea bass day. Tuesday is soprano. I can't think of a reason to remember that. Wednesday, alto. We just will, won't we? Wednesday is alto day. Thursday, that's easy. T. Thursday, tenor. Friday, sea bass. I think it's time for a cup of tea. I think I might have lost the plot. Anyway, I cannot tell you how delighted I am that all this technology that Ben England explained to me has worked. Do you know what I've even done? I've made myself a crib sheet, a double-sided crib sheet, which I typed up and printed out, and then I laminated. I love laminating. I've laminated it, and it lives now in the studio on the desk, and it tells me everything I need to know. And I don't know if you can read. Is that going to be possible for you to read? Can you see? In a minute, I'm going to do step 5, which is close the session. And then I'm going to do step 6, which is give self a pat on the back. So wish me luck, folks. I'm going to do the step 5 now, which is the close the session. Thank you so much for listening to my wafflings for the past hour. I'm really excited about the next 4 weeks we've got together. I'm going to fade the master now. Bye.